Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
$11:01 on The Lock Shop. We've got lots to get to. Hus victory lap incoming. That'll be happening on the show today. It's really the only reason I'm here. I want to see what Hus brings to the table today. He dropped a great text on the Lock Shop group text a little bit earlier. I'll share that with you. The EST parlay is already up if you want to ride with me on the Oilers game tonight. I will be in the stands at the Oilers game tonight, taking Marshall to see Ovi in the house. So if you see a large man accompanied by a smaller man that looks exactly like him, that's us. Say hi, come by, have a chat, fist me. It'll be a great time. So again, tonight the game. Looking forward to going and checking it out. ESC Parlay, we'll be riding on this one. If you would like to come along for the journey. Leon Draisaitl, over 1.5 points with McDavid out of the lineup. Bouchard, a point. Oilers win plus 285. A little bit of a better number than I was expecting, actually. I thought that might end up coming in around 225, 235, but we get it at 285. So Draisaitl 2 points, Bouchard a point. Oilers win tonight. Duck Dad is in and says, good thing I'm in a meeting for the next 30 minutes. I hope we get the Chiefs and their faithful Stripes talk out of the way by mid-show. I thought Duck Dad said he was going to swing by around 11 o'clock today so he could run his hands through Trev's hair, through Trev's mane right now, but turns out he's working. All right, should be a great show today. Hus will be by shortly. We will get to the NHL slate tonight, so we're going to recap the NFL over the weekend, get Hus's thoughts on it. Kansas City Chiefs deliver for the man once again. He was down at Arrowhead. What was that like? We'll get into that as well. But busy sked in the NHL tonight that we'll certainly sort through. Tampa Bay Lightning in Montreal to take on the Habs, Sens and Rangers, Red Wings and Flyers, Hurricanes and Stars, Sharks and Preds, Panthers and Ducks. That total set at 5.5. Seen some 5.5s here. We got 4 5.5s on the board. That seems strange compared to earlier in the season. Are the totals coming down a little bit? We'll dive into that. Canucks and Sabres, that's at 6. I feel like that would have been a 7 or a 6.5 earlier in the year as well. So lots to get to. We'll give you your starting goalies and take a look at some of these best bets of the night in the National Hockey League. And of course, you can text us anytime. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Dudley texts in today at 780-218-9999. Says, I hope everybody has their puke buckets ready for this victory lap of Hus's, which is great. I got to read the text that Hus sent before we bring him in. This is Hus today to the Lock Shop chat. It's good stuff. I have just completed viewing yesterday's Lock Shop. Great show, boys. Can't wait for today. And as always, we'll stay both grounded and humble when discussing the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Let's bring him in straight from Arrowhead back to Winnipeg. Hus joins us on the show this morning. Congratulations, sir. What is that shirt? What's that shirt say? What am I looking at?
Oh, just that.
A Mahomes GOAT t-shirt. Of course, that's how you're going to start the segment.
Listen, what a weekend. Great to be back. And yes, I did enjoy yesterday's show. I enjoyed the weekend. We had some great games. First of all, we actually finally had some amazing excitement in NFL playoffs.
It was a good weekend, yep.
With the exception of that Washington-Tampa game last week, the wild card weekend was an absolute dud. But yes, the Chiefs have moved on to the division, to the conference championship for, let me just count this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 7th straight year. The 7th straight
year. That is pretty incredible, buddy.
Dude, it is dynastic. What can you say? I mean, and listen, it was a 2024 Chiefs performance. There was nothing really. No, I shouldn't say there was nothing spectacular. There was a few things that were spectacular. The pass that Mahomes hit Kelsey with, where he was basically horizontal, was just, a moment of brilliance. There's one or two of those plays a game that can often be the difference. He got it done. But, for all the outrage and vitriol on a couple borderline cheesy, bad calls, whatever you want to call it. The one thing that I didn't hear, and this is not unique to the Lock Shop, I think actually you guys did a pretty good job of mentioning it, Jake and Pat in particular, but it was lost on a lot of the national shows when they were getting into just the rage and whatnot, everything goes around this team, was the performance of the defense. Like George Karlaftis, 3 sacks. They sacked CJ Stroud 8 times. And listen, Andy Reid gets a ton of the credit. But what Steve Spagnuolo did in the second half, I mean, he absolutely schooled the Houston Texans when it came to their protections.
Yep.
They exposed them so badly. And then listen, I think it's a bad look on the Texans. I mean, okay, whatever. A player can say whatever he wants, and those guys are in there, and I get Will Anderson being pissed off about that call. But for D'Amico Ryans to go up and say, oh, we knew it was us against everybody, and then not really wanting to get into it was it was a terrible look because they were not the better team in that game. I know we talked about the yardage, which looks really balanced. Is special teams still a part of the game?
Special teams are still a part of the game.
It is. Maybe don't spot the Chiefs a 63-yard run back on the first play of the game. So even when the offense does nothing, they get a field goal. Maybe don't make a brain-dead decision to try to kick a 55-yarder in the cold and wind in a 6-3 game where the Chiefs weren't moving the football particularly well early on in the game. Like when I said to Greg, my buddy that I was sitting with, when they rolled a kicker out, I'm like, are you kidding? This is insane. This is like a 10% shots he makes it. And if he doesn't, the Chiefs are getting the ball close to midfield. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. And they went down and they scored a touchdown on it. I was very impressed on a few things with the Texans. And listen, this is going to be something that the Chiefs are going to have to be ready for come this Sunday, was the way that they ran the football. I mean, full credit to Joe Mixon. I mean, he was questionable all week. They didn't know whether he was going to be able to play. He was awesome in that game. But it really did seem to change after. And the other thing that I'll give CJ Stroud a ton of credit for, and the Texans overall, was the way that they moved the football and held onto the football. Like, remember at the start of this whole run by the Chiefs would be down 10 points, and they'd get the ball with 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and they'd run down, they'd score a touchdown, leave the team no time left before halftime, and then they'd get the second half kickoff, go down and do the exact same thing, and all of a sudden you're like, what the hell? 30 minutes ago, we were up by 10, and now we're losing by 4. The Texans did that to Kansas City. And that drive to begin the third quarter, which was 10 and a half minutes.
That was a crazy drive.
It was a crazy drive. And I'll be honest, I'm like, okay, this is game on. We're going to be sweating this one out again. And then he missed the extra point. And at that point,
major buzzkill at that moment.
Definite major buzzkill. And really after that, it was all Kansas City. I mean, listen, did they get a couple calls? Yeah, they did. Is that unique to Kansas City? No, it's not. And for everyone that's going against Mahomes, you in particular, who are saying, he's always trying to get the calls. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's not rooted in some truth. I mean, there is some times where, when you're getting hit, you kind of make sure the ref knows it. If we're going to say on a scale of that, and Pat said this himself yesterday, and I credit Pat for being very transparent about this. If Mahomes is a 5 or a 6 on that scale, Josh Allen is a 9. So, I mean, I'm sure, well, maybe you guys haven't been, but in my circles on the internet streets that I run on, I have seen some great compilations of that. Now, I have nothing bad to say about the Bills. Congratulations to them for winning that game. We have to talk about the Ravens, though. But as far as the Bills moving forward, they deserve to be in that game. They, like the Chiefs, I mean, if you look at those two games, they were two pretty closely contested football games. And what happened? The teams that didn't make the mistakes won. Buffalo didn't turn the football over.
Yep.
Baltimore did. That was the difference in the game, in addition to some other, mistakes that the Ravens made. And as far as the game that I saw at Arrowhead, it wasn't the turnovers that Houston made, but it was mistakes on special teams, and it was an inability to handle the adjustments of the Chiefs on defense that ended up almost getting their quarterback killed and essentially stuffing out anything offensively in the second half of the football game. So the Bills and Chiefs, with all due respect to Lamar and the Ravens, who, to be honest, I think, if you actually compare all three teams overall based on their body of work this year, overlooking, this is the thing with the Ravens. They can look like the best team in the NFL. They can also lose to the Raiders and the Browns. So you don't always know what you're going to get from that team. But we'll get to Baltimore in a second, aftermath of the teams that are out. This game is Sunday is exactly what I think everyone wants. I think that's what the Bills Mafia wants. They want another chance.
They want a shot at them
to slay the dragon. They've advanced through the levels of the AFC, and now they get a chance to go up against the final boss, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. The world that is not down with the Chiefs will be, Buffalo will be as popular a team. And listen, there's so much to love about Buffalo. And I'm the same way. Like, I have no ill will. If the Chiefs lose this football game, I'm going to go right now. I'll say this right now on the show. If Buffalo wins, they will absolutely deserve to be in the Super Bowl. They will have beaten the two best teams in the AFC, and I will be cheering for them in the Super Bowl, even if they're playing Jaden Daniels.
I was going to say, even against the Commanders?
Even if they are, because you know what? Their fans will deserve it. The team will deserve it, and they'll have done it by beating the best. And this Buffalo team, make no mistake, Dusty, I don't think a lot of people really expected the Bills to be in this situation this year. They did lose a lot. That's why I still believe that Josh Allen's the MVP. I think Allen did more with less. And I think he put more on his shoulders this year to get his team in the position that they were in than he had in the past, when the team was, I think, frankly, a lot more stacked. But the Bills it's impossible to hate the Bills. Unless you're like a Jets fan or a Pats fan, or, one of those divisional rivals where you play them twice a year and you hate them. The fan base is amazing. I think they're a lot like Detroit. They're a lot like Detroit in the fact, although they've been more successful historically, but that's maybe made the heartbreak and the pain worse for the Bills fans. The Lions just were never there.
Yeah, I've never got a taste of it. Never got a taste of it.
We all know about the Bills getting to the Super Bowl and losing over and over and over again. And now, they have been incredible this last few years, and they just haven't been able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, and now they've got a shot to do it. It seemed like last year was their chance. Remember, okay, we lost the first two times in Kansas City, but this time we've got them in our house. And Mahomes did it again. And then he went to Baltimore and did it again, and then beat San Francisco and won another Super Bowl. So it's incredible. We're either going to have the Bills, who will be the feel-good story of the season, in the Super Bowl, or we're going to have the Chiefs that started off as this lovable, fun team that has now turned into Patriots 2.0, the new evil empire in the National Football League, on the verge of history and becoming the greatest team of all time, as the only team ever to win 3 consecutive Super Bowls. So it is, it's going to be a fun week. Sunday is going to be incredible. And I will just say, in all seriousness, may the best team win. Obviously, I've got a lot of confidence that Kansas City can find a way to win, because that's just what they do. But this is going to be a doozy, man. And I cannot wait for kickoff on a Sunday. And I know I did hear you guys talking yesterday about my comment about, I'm surprised that the Chiefs are favored a little bit. I'm not really surprised that they are. I do think this game kind of should be a pick'em, but there's just too much history. If we're basing this on this season, the Chiefs probably shouldn't be a favorite. Like, they lost to the Bills. And again, it was a 9-point game, I think. It was a pretty close game. Again, that one is in Buffalo. But, I mean, for a long time, people were, I think, sort of surprised that the Chiefs were able to do what they've done in the playoffs. No one's surprised anymore when they win games the way that they do. So, for the Chiefs to open at 1.5, I thought was probably fair. It's 2 right now. I am with Jake and his comments yesterday. I don't think we even see 2.5 in this game. I think that there's going to be, you know what? I think money will be pretty evenly split on both sides here. And to me, this is a money line play. Forget the spread. It doesn't matter. Buffalo plus 106, Kansas City minus 125. Take your side and get ready for what should be another incredible installment in one of the great rivalries in modern football history. And you know, we're kind of into that era right now. Follow me on this one. This Allen-Mahomes rivalry feels a lot like Brady-Manning before Manning had that crazy comeback from the 18-point deficit, came and finally got over the hump and finally won their Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, Brady had they'd both been incredible. They both had all the numbers. In fact,
we lost Hus. Trev, somebody come reconnect Hus. There we go. Oh, look at Zach. Wow, Zach was so quick. Should have seen Zach come flying in. Hus might have to reconnect. He's been having that issue lately. He's the only one. Something on that internet in Winnipeg. Hus will be back. I think I had Hus at like 14 straight minutes there. I managed to accomplish a lot of other things. Actually, while he was going off there, we'll get him back in. Now, he did say, I mean, he talked about Josh Allen being at like a 9 out of 10 on the flop scale. Patrick Mahomes only being a 5 or 6. While he was talking, I actually, I did go and view a minute of Josh Allen diving. Now, with that being said, I don't think I saw a dive in there as bad as the out of bounds one from Patrick Mahomes, which Hus is still going to have to speak to. I still want to get his thoughts on that one. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999 is where you can hop on board if you'd like to text the show today if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at edmontonsportstalk.com. And UChaz says 10-yard penalty EST for Wi-Fi interference. That's not us. That's not us. What Matt Hyman says, it's very cold in Winnipeg. And Spency 5 cents, he says, boom. Oh, God. So I saw Eric in the chat there saying, get to the Costco, guys. And so I, in between shows, I was working on some video production stuff. And then I said to Rick, I said, what is this Costco guy stuff? And he goes, you got to go check it out. I've never seen it before. And I don't know if I have ever seen anything more annoying in my life than that dad, the Costco guy's dad. Anyway, we'll get to that. But I do want, now we'll reconnect us here. His internet in Winnipeg, as somebody said, it's very cold there. So maybe that's the main reason for the internet bobble there from Hus. But he was in a great conversation about the National Football League. So we'll bring Hus back in here and continue this wonderful chat and take a look at the two lines. He was talking about the two, and it's going to be a pick and play in the Bills, and we'll obviously set this up a little bit later on that Bills Chiefs game. Hus, we lost you. I can't even remember where you were at.
Lost you. And listen, just as an aside, before we get back into the NFL, obviously I was in great spirits. I continue to be in great spirits, except for one thing. And tomorrow is Bellette's Talk Day. I have been fine. I'm going to need Bellette's Talk Day if my goddamn Bell internet service does not keep deciding to just crap out for 60 to 90 seconds per show. And this is not unique to me. It is happening throughout the city. It's happened to Remus. It is happening to people around here. So I am so triggered by this internet situation right now. I have maintained my composure and I'm back, but I apologize to Lock Shop listeners for that. And this is the bane of my existence right now. And I have no other option right now but just to deal with it.
No, I wanted to say when you were gone, I said, while you were talking, I watched a minute of Josh Allen diving. I did. I saw it. But I don't think I saw anything in that 60-second stretch than the out of bounds Mahomes play. They look like they've put on your T-shirt, for goodness sakes, in this goat thing. I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to defend that one, man. Even the broadcasters are like, "Oh my God!"
Well, listen. Troy Aikman has Chiefs derangement syndrome.
Full-blown
as well.
meltdown on the second. I mean, it was a missed call, but still, I mean, he really really lost it there, didn't he?
Tough look for Troy, in my opinion. Anyways, back to the. I was talking about the Brady Manning rivalry.
Yeah.
And the Brady Manning rivalry was one that was, playoffs wise, was a little bit one-sided. And then Manning never really got to where Brady was, obviously, but did get his and got a couple of those. And I think these Bills teams over the last few years have absolutely been capable of doing exactly that. And it just hasn't happened. So if they get them next Sunday, it's going to be the culmination of, it's almost like a WWE storyline, to be honest with you, where the Cody Rhodes, they needed him to finish the story. I mean, the Bills, I'm dead serious.
You're not wrong. I agree with you. You're right. Finish the
story has been and that is why everyone is going to play. Josh Allen is going to be Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania this year. And we'll see whether Mahomes can be the Roman Reigns that squeaks out another one. But I really do think that we've got a great match. It was going to be great no matter what. I think if Kansas City won, because you could have taken the Bills or you could have taken the Ravens. There's a lot of history between both of these teams. But listen, we're going to spend all week talking about the game on Sunday. Let's talk about the team that's not there anymore in Baltimore. And I still think Josh Allen probably should win the MVP, but I know people really focus in on stats, and the stats will tell you that Lamar is the guy. I don't know how. And did you see Lamar's post game?
I watched part of it. I didn't sit down and watch it from start to finish.
He was despondent at the end. It was almost like he was coming to the realization of what had happened. And for a guy that had not had multiple turnovers in a game all season long, to throw a terrible pick early on when it was 7-7, and then a fumble that led to a big return for Von Miller and another score for Buffalo. You just simply can't do that in a big game. You know when the last time he had multiple turnovers were in a game?
Playoffs?
AFC Championship last year against Kansas City, when they only put up 10 at home against KC. So Lamar is now that guy that is the man all regular season, but he's now 3-5 in the playoffs and has saved his worst, most underwhelming performances for the biggest moments. And I like Lamar. He is so much fun to watch. He is just a brilliant athlete. And even though my team has been going against him in these big games and these big moments, at what point is it more than just a couple games? And is it a guy that just can't be near his best in the big game? I don't really know what the answer to that is, but there's no getting around the fact that Lamar has not played anywhere close to the level that he's set in the regular season in these playoff games. And he was still really good. He was still there were so many great things that he did. And if Mark Andrews catches that pass, albeit not a great pass from Lamar, I know a lot of people are just saying this drop is all on Andrews. That pass could have been in a better spot that would have given a better chance to catch it. But again, he brought the team back. They scored that touchdown. Josh Allen was going to have, worst case scenario, was going to have a minute 30 to move the football to a place where they could kick a winning field goal, which would have been awesome. But what do you think about where the Ravens and Lamar goes from here? There's always the overreactions every year, they got to change, the coach can't get it done, or this guy can't get it done. I don't necessarily believe that, but it's hard to ignore the 2 turnovers, the Andrews fumble.
That's the thing.
Once again, Lamar, the Ravens beat themselves.
Lamar could have been better, but I think you just nailed in the Ravens beat themselves. Mark Andrews, the fumble on what could have been a huge drive for that team was awful. And then I know Josh Allen still would have had 90 seconds, and he probably would have got them into field goal range. But the only hope you had to stay alive was Mark Andrews catching a relatively catchable ball to tie that game at 27. Like, I don't hang that on Lamar either. But it's all I could think about as you were talking about Allen and Mahomes and the Brady and Manning comparisons and the Patriots and Colts days, I still remember where I was when the Colts beat the Patriots in I think it was an AFC Championship game. I was working in the press box for the Lethbridge Hurricanes at the time, and I was watching the game up in the press box while the game was going. That's how big that back and forth was. Two of the greatest to ever do it. And we're witnessing two amazing quarterbacks right now. And all I could think of while you were talking about Lamar and the Ravens is, was there a third guy back in the Manning and Brady era who always, came up just short against either of them and never really got into that conversation? There must have been, who was the third best guy back then? Because, Lamar, from a seasonal perspective, had a much better year than Mahomes, but when you get to the playoffs, it's the other two guys all the time. Okay,
Phillip Rivers was the guy that never got there.
Yeah.
And they had some good teams, and we all remember that team. What was it? The year escapes me, but basically they were number one seed in the AFC. It would have been 08 or 09, I guess. And they lost to the Jets. Nate Kading missed the field goal, and they ended up getting bounced after having the bye in the first round. So they were the one that was sort of felt like they had a chance. LaDainian Tomlinson, they had some really good players on that team, but never could get over it. And then the other one is the Steelers. But Ben Roethlisberger did find a way to get there a couple times and obviously win a Super Bowl. So it is a little different. But that's, I think, the closest. Like Ben and Rivers during that era are probably the closest to come to mind. But to be honest, I think Lamar is actually a level above those guys. Lamar's going to potentially win his third MVP.
Three-time MVP. He's almost in this sort of unique class of his own. How many MVPs did Marino win? I'm just trying to think as we get into this conversation of guys who've won 3, 4. I'm going to look that up right now. Because you're starting to get into that category with Lamar where in the end, if he doesn't get done, he'll go down as probably the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. And he needs to be better, but part of me feels bad for him too. He's in an era with some great playoff quarterbacks. And yeah, he's made the odd mistake, but he didn't get a lot of help from. And you know what? You mentioned it with the Ravens beating themselves. That one drive they committed to Derrick Henry, what did he go for? Like 67 yards on one drive and a touchdown? And I thought they got away from who they were a little bit. And I thought it was interesting when, I think Hus froze again. I thought it was interesting when, people were talking about after the game that the Ravens kind of went away from what they were in that football game. And maybe part of that was the Bills, driving that. But I still think if you got a guy like Derrick Henry and you got another guy like Lamar Jackson, you just find what works and you just run with that. You just beat it. Just like I said with the Lions and Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs was, he was running all over the Commanders. And they got away from it. So I think that was kind of frustrating as well. Cowboy in the chat says, wake up, Hus. Matt Hyman over in the chat says, Hus, see what Jeff Hamilton just tweeted. Andrew Harris reached out to the Bombers but never heard back. Now he's a part of Winnipeg's biggest rival. I was wondering when he announced that when they announced that he signed with the Riders, I was wondering if that was a spite thing. And it seems like, according to Hus's partner on CFL 110, that maybe it was a bit of a spite thing. All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Spency 5 cents, he says, the freezes are getting less noticeable, though. Good positioning. That was good positioning. I didn't even know that he had cut out. I was just talking. I look up, and Hus is just like frozen off to the side. I hope they get that sorted out for Winnipeg Sports Talk today. That would suck the big one. We'll get Hus's thoughts on the NFC as well. Then we'll get to the NHL slate. I do want to get his thoughts on these Costco boys. Because that's something that we need to get to the bottom of as well. How's it going to be hot when he comes back in here? There he is. Look at the classic head shake. Hus, what is up, buddy? Are you like, is it doing this in your show too? Are you kicking out a bit or what?
So it has happened once, once a day for, again, like 60 to 90 seconds. It started happening mid last week. And like some people on like in our chat were saying, Hus, I live near you and I know this has happened to me as well for a little bit. So I kind of thought this was maybe a little temporary. It's never happened twice. Like it's just happened today. Usually it'll happen once, and then it won't happen for a long time. But this is definitely going to complicate WST today if it keeps going out. So anyways, my apologies to everyone. I don't know what the hell is going on. And as I say, I'm going to need the Bell Let's Talk resources for what their service is doing to my mental health. What did you find out about the MVPs?
You know what? I totally forgot. I got sidetracked when I lost you. Give me a look here. Hang on one sec. Let's see.
I got them right here.
How many did Marino have?
Let's see. The Dan Marino. I'm not sure if Dan Marino
won. He won one MVP. 1984.
And that was his rookie season, wasn't it?
I think that was his rookie season.
Yeah, and they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they've got him listed as a player from 83 to 99, and then he would have won the MVP in 94 or 84. So, when you look at sort of that Brady Manning era, it was Manning, and then it went back to back running backs, which was wild. Sean Alexander and LaDainian Tomlinson. Then it was Manning again. Then it was Manning again. So Manning had won four. He had won 4 MVPs before Tom Brady won in 2010. And then Manning got it again in 2013. But at this point, we started to see Aaron Rodgers win a couple, 2011, 2014. And then it was Cam Newton, Matt Ryan against some of the NFC guys. Then it was Brady. And then since Mahomes has become a starter, Mahomes got it as a rookie. I shouldn't say rookie. He redshirted or whatever you want to call it. His first year as a starter. Yeah.
Lamar then won it the next year. Aaron Rodgers went back-to-back in 20 and 21. Mahomes then got his second in 22, and then Lamar in 23. And Lamar could potentially win it. Do you think Lamar gets it again? Like he was the first team all-pro quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's going to get it again. I do think he's going to get. I mean, statistically, he's put up an MVP type season. I thought there might be a little. Let's throw Josh Allen one, but Lamar's numbers are significantly better than Josh Allen's numbers.
Like the thing is, like some quarterbacks, if you're waxing teams and just run the football all in the second half, do we take it away from the quarterback that he was so good early they put up the lead, they didn't have to throw anymore?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it too.
I mean, at a certain point, it is about winning football games. And the Ravens, because of, mind-boggling brain farts and just a lack of execution in a few games.
Tons of bad penalties.
They lost 5 times. That's part of the reason why they were on the road in the last week against the Bills. So I don't know. I really think that Josh Allen deserves it. And if you think at some of those games, like the signature games that he had this year, they were amazing. I mean, and let's not forget, the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs were the 1 and 2 teams in the NFC and AFC. Who beat both of those teams in the regular season? Josh Allen and the Bills.
Yeah.
So I think he deserves it. And I think there'll be a lot of people that probably will, in a tie, if you will, are going to give it to Josh because it's sort of his time. Like there's always that semblance of, he maybe deserves it because he's been, he's been the bridesmaid to both of these guys throughout this era. But we will think about this sort of coming off Brady Manning and that all-time quarterback rivalry with 2 of the great teams of that era. This period of the AFC is is historic. I mean, obviously, we know what Mahomes is doing, but Lamar's greatness in the regular season, which unfortunately is getting overshadowed by coming up small in the playoffs, and then the Allen story, I mean, he's had some of his greatest games. Like the game that he played against Mahomes in the 13 seconds game is one of the all-time great playoff performances by a quarterback. And they thought they had the game won with 13 seconds left, and he never got the ball back. They did. They were. What was that? Remember when they were playing the match? Was it Allen? It was Mahomes and Allen were in one of those golf. I can't remember who they were playing with. Was it 4 quarterbacks, or were they each? Someone was with one of the golfers.
Yeah, it wasn't 4 quarterbacks. I don't think.
It was Mahomes and somebody, Tiger and Phil. Regardless, there was an interview clip of the two of them, Mahomes and Allen, sitting there, and they asked. Oh,
it was Allen and Mahomes versus Rodgers and Brady. It was the two of them against the older 2 guys.
Okay,
that's what it was.
That's right. So they were partners. So they were interviewing them, and they say, "Patrick, what do you think Josh's biggest fear is?" And he goes, "A coin toss?" Because honestly, if that coin toss goes differently, history might be different, because the Bills were both offenses were scoring when they had the football. And that's part of the reason why they changed the playoff rules. So I don't know, but we're lucky to be living and being football fans right now with so much greatness. And Lamar is going to be that guy until he isn't. And we know how hard it is to get out of the AFC with the other teams and the quarterbacks. But it's Buffalo and Kansas City this weekend. May the best team win. But while we're talking about quarterbacking, and listen, I know that you have had a tough few days since Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you want, we can get into what the Lions did and didn't do, and Jared Goff having an ugly game. Jaden Daniels' rookie season might be the greatest of all time. And he is on the verge of doing something that, to be honest, I think would be like, listen, Mahomes in the 18 season, when he won the MVP and ran the table and won the Super Bowl, and lost in the AFC Championship game, I should say, in a game that absolutely fortified the Patriots' hate and the narrative that Tom Brady was getting the calls. And we all remember probably the worst roughing the passer penalty call of all time on Chris Jones against Brady. And then, of course, the game-ending interception by Brady at Arrowhead. And I remember this vividly because I was at the game, which was overturned by the D Ford lining up an inch offside penalty. Like that season by Mahomes was historic all time. But the thing is, and this is why I kind of think that Jaden Daniels might now be able to say he's got the greatest first-year starter. He's a rookie. He came onto a 4-win football team, started week 1, won whatever it was, 12 games in the regular season, and now is gone on the road, beating a good Bucs team led by Baker Mayfield, and then taking down a 15-win team in the Detroit Lions. And it wasn't like, oh, they won, 2017. They put up 45 on the Lions. And the Lions did a lot of good things in that game. The poise that Jaden Daniels is playing with right now, Dusty, it's
insane.
As impressive as anything I've seen. And in some ways, he sort of reminds me of early Mahomes. Have you heard this story that he's training this VR training?
The VR thing, I heard that was like one of the things that he required of the team that drafted him.
Yeah, and it basically, he watches everything in like 1.75 speed and does all these plays. So it basically slows down the game for him when he's out there. Whatever he's doing, everyone should be doing that, because he seems to process everything at a level that very few are able to do. He makes the right decisions, and he is just something so special to watch right now. And this Commander story is one that I don't think anyone really expected, but I think everyone is here for right now, because he's another guy that kind of reminds you of early Mahomes, an incredibly likable guy that's taken a team that hadn't been able to do special things and now is on the verge of doing something really, really special. So I give a ton of credit to Jaden Daniels, but man, a lot of regret in and around Detroit. And, you wonder, one of the big topics on all the talk shows coming back through the States yesterday was, did the Lions just miss certainly, I think, their best opportunity? I mean, they've still got a lot of great players. So don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't think that they won't be in the playoffs next year, but things do change. And now Ben Johnson's gone to Chicago. Aaron Glenn is up for some other head coaching jobs. I mean, you might lose both coordinators. And here's the thing that does not bode well for Detroit. Penei Sewell, probably going to be the highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL. Aiden Hutchinson, you want to re-sign him? He'll probably be the highest paid defensive end in the National Football League. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get paid. St. Brown. I mean, they're going to have to pay the piper for a lot of these guys. And as we've seen what the Chiefs had to do, I mean, they traded Tyreek Hill. They reloaded with some other players. So, yeah, I mean, it's incredibly disappointing for the Lions. I mean, I know I was texting you with it for it. I mean, it's just tough time to have Jared Goff have an off game. Yeah. And listen,
they were a bit of a mess.
Decimated. That's so decimated. I mean, you think of all the guys that were starters for them in week 1 or week 2 that weren't in the game. It almost put the onus on the offense to go up and put up a 40 spot or something like that, and certainly not turn the football over the way they did. And it's a simple, but it's a common theme when we talk about teams that fell up short, making mistakes and turning the football over. When you're playing against teams of this caliber at this point in the playoffs, will kill you every time. And much like the Ravens are lamenting that, I think the Lions are doing the same thing right now.
Jaden Daniels has already accomplished one thing that a rookie quarterback has never done, and that's a Spite League championship. And I will always have a soft spot for him. So even when the Lions bowed out, I just looked at my wife. I said, I can't be mad at him. He delivered me the greatest fantasy football title of all time. So I have we'll get to the other games as we work our way through the week, I guess, with the Eagles and the Commanders and stuff.
Where are you at on the Eagles, though? Like, what was your takeaway from the Eagles?
My takeaway from the Eagles is unlike the Lions going away from Jahmyr Gibbs having 107 yards and 14 carries, the Eagles won't get away from Saquon. And that concerns me for the Commanders because they could not stop Jahmyr Gibbs. And I'm not sure they stop Saquon. So then you need Jaden Daniels to drop 30 to 35 on the Eagles, which he did in November in a game in which Jalen Hurts was banged up. But the Eagles defense is far superior to the banged up Detroit Lions defense. So my thought on the Eagles is if they're just going to continue to give the rock to Saquon 25 times, they're going to beat the Commanders and go to the Super Bowl too. That being said, Jalen Hurts does not look great. Threw for like 125 yards. I think it's the Chiefs or the Bills Super Bowl to lose, to be honest with you, buddy.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of with you. And listen, I do think that you make a great point. Like, Barkley is just so good right now, and they're able to block for him. And I think that there's a unique, like the fact that they're playing outside in the cold and in snow, puts more of an onus on your running game. And I don't think that's the case as much come Super Bowl time. Like, you're going to have to be able to throw the football. Hurts, I think Hurts was hopped up on perks at the end of the game. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if you saw that interview afterwards, but he sounded high. I mean, he was kind of laughing. He might have been. Stuff. I mean, it was so different from the usual Jalen Hurts. And I mean, he did take a couple big hits in that game, left briefly and came back in. So what he's dealing with right now, but yeah, the offense has not, the passing offense has been pretty much non-existent. And then I'll be honest, I think that they dodged a huge bullet. Like, the Rams had no business being in that football game in the final 3 minutes of the game. And yet there they are marching down They got it inside the 20 before not being able to convert. The sack on the 3rd and 2. Like, do you think they really regret not? I mean, now it's easy to say Monday morning quarterbacking, but they had that 3rd and 2. There was still plenty of time. You almost think get the first down, because when they didn't, they got sacked, and then all of a sudden it's a 4th and 10 or 4th and 11, and a heck of a lot easier option to block it out. But the Eagles, despite winning, did not look like they are entirely ready for prime time. Although, when you got Saquon Barkley just busting off 60 and 70 yarders routinely,
that's the thing.
That is the thing. So, what a weekend! What a couple games we have coming up. 2 p.m. our time, so with the 1 o'clock in Edmonton, 3 out east. Commanders, Eagles at the Link, and then the main event one more time. Mahomes and Allen, Chiefs, Bills.
Can't wait for that. It is good. It is going to be fun to watch, and I will be. Well, you'll know. We'll be on the Bills bandwagon, riding along here, hoping to see.
The Bills bandwagon has never been bigger than it will be going into Sunday. There is no doubt about it.
Hus, look, man, we only got like 7 minutes. We'll dive into the NHL slate, but I know a bunch of the boys are. Would you DM Rick and say like you can't believe I don't know the Costco boys, the Costco guys over there, the Boom guys? Yeah, no idea. I had no idea when it was brought to my attention yesterday.
Well. That's a doom right there. There's no listen. I should have come in and given the Chiefs victory 5 big booms, but I figured I would wait until now. But yes, the Rizzler was at the game. The Rizzler. This is how big the Chiefs are now. We have Taylor Swift, we have Caitlin Clark, and now the Rizzler at Arrowhead on the weekend. I saw some pictures after where I was so upset. He was not sitting very far away from me. And that would have been an all-timer if we could have had a Hus Rizzler photo from the game. It didn't happen, but yes, Dusty, the Costco-verse has taken over. I'm just shocked that you haven't seen the original Boom song. Now there's like 3 other remixes of it. And they're everywhere. And you know what? You being a family man, I think you would respect the good, wholesome family nature of the content that they put out, even if the dances are so stupid. And, they're talking about the double chunk chocolate cookie and the chicken bakes from Costco. But somehow it all just comes together. And I did think that this would be a 15 minutes that was over a long time ago. And yet they keep on taking it to the next level. So
they lasted longer than Hawk Tua girl.
Yeah, well, that's because Hawk Tua, as she did her pump and dump on the
I saw that.
on the meme coin, is now just out.
Yeah,
she said it's too bad. I'm a big proponent of Hawk Tua and her content. So I've been missing her, to be honest with you. And listen, if you bought a Hawk Tua crypto coin thinking that this was something was going to make you rich or something like that, this is so on you for making that sort of a decision. I don't personally know anyone that bought the Hawk Tua meme coin and lost money on it, but honestly, I don't think that anyone in their right mind would recommend that sort of a purchase for it. Now, if there's a Boom coin or something put up by the Costco guys, I may consider purchasing it. I do want to invest, but it's not good. How did this come up? How did you not did you see the Rizzler at the game and you were wondering
no, it popped up somewhere yesterday and we were talking about it. And and then it kind of got carried away that I didn't know these guys, which is kind of funny. So
I'm just stunned. I don't know how for someone that's on the internet as much as you that it would have even been possible not to
it's never come up on my TikTok feeds or anything. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I don't know. I guess this might say something about my algorithm, because probably half of my algorithm is the boom song or the Rizzler doing something or the stupid dances that they do with many of the other biggest names in the internet. But they are big time. You didn't see them on Jimmy Fallon when they were there?
I didn't even see him. I didn't even see him on Fallon.
That was all over it as well. But yes, this matchup, we've got to put it in Costco terms, the Costco verse terms. This matchup, Bills-Chiefs, is 5 big booms, and it's boom or doom. Someone will get a boom at the end of the AFC Championship game. Someone will get a doom, and it's going to be tough to sing. By the way, the Eagles are now 6-point favorites. I went from 5.5 to 6. So it seems people are still not entirely believing in the Commanders. And just quickly on the spreads, a wild push in that Eagles game. And thank God I bet the Chiefs at 8.5 before I left. Because if you waited to bet the Chiefs till 9.5, and they ran around with the punter and gave up the safety to take the 11-point lead to 9, that would have been one of the worst beats of the entire season in National Football League betting. So I hope that didn't happen to anybody, but I'm sure that it did. What do we got for pucks tonight?
Yeah, we only got a couple minutes left here, Hus, but it's a busy night, man. Tampa Bay, Montreal, Ottawa and the Rangers, Detroit and Philly. Detroit's the dog in Philly. Hurricanes and Stars, Sharks and Preds, Caps, Oilers, Panthers, Ducks, Sabres, and Canucks.
How about the Habs? They are just...
Yeah.
Like, they're an underdog every single night, and they keep on coming up with wins. Now, I mean, listen, on paper, Tampa, really good team, better than them. I don't know. I'm liking both Montreal and I like Ottawa, just based on the numbers and how they've been playing lately. Both of them are getting great goaltending from guys that I'd never heard of before last week. We've got Dallas. You know, Dallas at -120 might be a good pick tonight. Carolina did play in Chicago last night and had to go to overtime to win. So I don't mind Dallas for tonight. I'm sure you guys spent the entire morning talking about the McDavid suspension.
We discussed it a bit.
Oilers are still a -154 favorite against a very good Caps team that's coming in tonight. We got the Sabres and the Canucks. I don't know if I'll stay on that one. And while the Red Wings are a +125 underdog against Philly as well. Definitely like Dallas, and I'd be in on either Ottawa or Montreal as a plus money underdog if you want to put a partner parlay together.
Say that again, Hus. Who'd you say? You're on Montreal?
Definitely in on Dallas.
Dallas, yeah.
At -120 at home, considering Carolina played in Chicago last night. I think this is a good spot for Dallas. Montreal +125 at home intrigues me, as does Ottawa at +106. Although the Rangers have been playing lately, I do like the run that the Sens have been on.
Well, if we take those three, I don't think I'd like anything further down the list. I don't hate Buffalo. I don't hate Vancouver after the way they beat the Oilers and maybe a rallying point. JT Miller played really good in that game.
You know what? That's not bad. And it's nice to have. So of Montreal home to Tampa +125 or Ottawa +106 in New York against the Rangers, what floats your boat?
Stars, Habs, Canucks is +548.
Habs just continue to roll. They had the one loss against, and the thing is, you would say, "Oh, Tampa's a good team." Well, listen to these teams that Montreal's beaten over the last little while. Now, they did beat Tampa 5-2 in Tampa a few weeks ago. So, does Tampa get one back on them? I don't think they'll be surprised by them again. More so than the Ottawa Senators. And Ottawa right now. Big 2-1 win in Jersey. Ooh. 5 of their last 6, beating Pittsburgh, Dallas, the Islanders, losing 1-0 in overtime to the Capitals, beating Boston, and winning in New Jersey. Ooh. Almost thinking that we might have a better shot with the Sens tonight.
You want to go Sens?
I think so, actually.
Okay.
The fact that Montreal went into Tampa and beat them a few weeks ago, I kind of think Ottawa is the kind of leaning Ottawa right now. They're playing so well right now. They're getting incredible goaltending. Yeah, why don't we do that? Ottawa, Dallas, Vancouver.
Okay. Ottawa, Dallas, Vancouver, plus 493. What's coming up on WST, Hus?
Dud for the Jets last night. We'll be all over that. We will hear Scott Arniel went borderline Rick Bonus last night, said that there was embarrassing performance and called it horse shit. So we will play that. A little bit more about Kevin Cheveldayoff spoke to the media yesterday. We'll dive into the Jets, look ahead to this game against Colorado. We'll do an Adam Lowry prayer circle that he's not more hurt after missing most of last night's game. And former Jets coach Tom McVie passed away yesterday. We'll remember him with our pal Jeff Kurbison, and I imagine we'll probably get to a little bit of NFL time.
And as you saw in the chat earlier, Jeff Hamilton tweeting that Andrew Harris reached out to the Bombers, didn't hear back, went to the Riders. So,
what a juicy story that is. That'll give us a slower day later on this week. So we'll get that partner parlay up.
That'll be up.
And we do have TGL tonight.
We do have TGL.
Atlanta Drive minus 137 against New York plus 103. I will. New York played in the first.
New York was in the first game, I believe. Yeah, they lost to the Bay. Bounce back spot for New York. They've already been there.
You know what? I think they've done it before. As long as, Kiz was on Jupiter. As I said, I'm betting underdogs for the next little while. We haven't seen Atlanta yet. They don't know what it's like to get into the golf dome that is TGL. I will be playing New York plus 103 tonight.
All right, that's going to do it for the Lock Shop today. Best of luck if you're riding with us tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow on the Lock Shop.